Back to our breaking news out of Jacksonville, Florida. A press conference with an update on a mass shooting that happened at a video game tournament there earlier this afternoon is just getting underway. Let's listen in.
So good evening. I'm Sheriff Mike Williams, and I'm joined here tonight by our Mayor, Lenny Curry, our State Attorney, Melissa Nelson, FBI Special Agent in charge of the Jacksonville Field Division, Charles Spencer, and JFRD Chief Kurt Wilson. First, let me say this. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the victims and their families who were all affected by this senseless act of violence here today. I ask that you please pray for these families as they deal with this tragedy in the coming days and weeks. I'd like to thank the media for joining us as we come together to provide the community with an update on information and dismiss any rumors regarding the events that took place earlier here today. So here's what we know. So this afternoon there was a Madden 19 tournament event at Chicago Pizza at the Jacksonville Landing. At 1:34 p.m., 911 calls came in stating that people had been shot inside the Chicago Pizza. 2 minutes later, at 1:36, officers were on scene at Chicago Pizza inside the landing. Shortly thereafter, businesses in the landing went on lockdown as other patrol units worked to evacuate the area. When the SWAT and bomb teams arrived on scene, they also conducted a detailed sweep of the landing. So there were 3 deceased individuals at the scene, one of those being the suspect who took his own life. There were 9 victims transported by JFRD to area hospitals. 7 of those had gunshot wounds. In addition, there were 2 additional gunshot victims that self-transported themselves to local hospitals. I'm happy to report that they are all in stable condition at this time. So let me recap. There were 14 total victims, 12 with gunshot wounds and 12 with other injuries that were sustained during fleeing from the restaurant. So please note this number may change as we learn of other victims who may have transported themselves to area hospitals. If you are a victim and you have not heard from us, we ask that you please call us at 630-0500 to report this. The single suspect in this case is a white male, and this is pending confirmation, but we believe the suspect to be 24-year-old David Katz from Baltimore, Maryland. And the FBI is assisting us with that leg of the investigation in Baltimore. We have located and impounded the suspect's vehicle, and a search of that is pending. But we believe he stayed somewhere locally last night, maybe at a hotel. If anyone has any information about where he stayed last night, please call 630-0500 or email JSO-CRIME-TIPS at JSO-CRIME-TIPS@jacksheriff.org. And we will be releasing more detailed information about the suspect in the next couple hours. So we know that the suspect used at least one handgun to commit this act, and we are working again with our partners at ATF on that aspect of the investigation. So I'll not be discussing any details pertaining to the motive at this time, as that part of the investigation is still ongoing. So that, as I mentioned at an earlier news conference, there is a video, and we do have a copy of that footage. But we're asking if anyone has any additional video footage to please email that, call us, 630-0500 to get that, obviously, additional information to us. So our Family Assistance Unit is up and running, so if you have a loved one that you believe to be at that event and you have not heard from them, please call us again at 630-0500 so we can have that information. If anyone has any information reference to this shooting, any information at all, we're asking you that again, you please call us at 630-0500, email us at JSO-CRIME-TIPS@jacksheriff.org, or of course use our partners at First Coast Crime Stoppers, 1-866-845-TIPS. So I want to take a minute to thank the men and women of the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office and the Jacksonville Fire and Rescue for their incredible response today. So we spend a lot of time training together and separately for events like this. We pray obviously that it never happens, but today it did, and they were prepared. I also want to thank our partners, many law enforcement partners, who stepped up with us today to help us work through all of the challenges that we had today. So with that, I will invite our Mayor, Lenny Curry, to say a few words. Mayor.
Thank you, Sheriff. Today, this evening, and tonight, Jacksonville is mourning. We have faced an occurrence that is all too common and will require us to continue to do the hard work of public safety to make sure that people are safe. One violent crime in our city is one too many. Tonight, we pray for the wounded, and we pray for the families of those who are lost. Sheriff Williams and JSO are working with State Attorney Nelson and law enforcement professionals from local, state, and federal agencies. We thank them for quickly responding and securing our downtown. Our local fire and rescue professionals rapidly responded, running into chaos to start saving lives. Local medical personnel at several hospitals responded perfectly. At terrible times, we see the best in people, and today is no different. There are witnesses who have not hesitated to talk to law enforcement, and we need that to continue. If you have any relevant information about this incident, you should call the numbers the sheriff and his team are publicizing. Governor Scott and scores of leaders from around the state have expressed their condolences and support. To all those in anyone watching, I say this: pray for Jacksonville as we deal with this senseless tragedy.
All right, thank you, Mayor. With that, I'm going to have Charles Spencer, who's the SAC of the local FBI office, say a few words. Spencer.
Thank you, Sheriff. Again, I express my profound sympathy for the victims of this tragedy and for the Jacksonville community as a whole. At this time, the FBI is providing investigative and technical assistance to the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. We also are providing assistance for any investigative leads that take us outside the Jacksonville area. Currently, as stated by the Sheriff, FBI Baltimore and ATF Baltimore are assisting the investigation in Baltimore. The effective response to this incident highlights the strong partnerships that the FBI, Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, and all the partners in the community have when responding to this incident. They responded quickly and efficiently. It also highlights the effectiveness of the training that we do together and the exercises that we continually do to prepare for tragedies such as this. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office response to this incident within 2 minutes of the first call for service is exemplary, and the Sheriff should be very proud of his deputies. I just want to reiterate one final time that if you have any videos, you have any information to this about this incident, you need to share it with the Sheriff's Office as soon as you can. Thank you very much. Sheriff? Thanks.
So, tough day for us, as you can imagine, but again, we could not have been able to get to this point investigatively where we are with our partners. So I won't name everybody because I'll forget somebody, but just a tremendous response. Local, state, and federal agencies coming together, responding to help us here in Jacksonville, and we appreciate it. Moving forward tonight, we're going to be releasing some additional information about potential street closures that obviously are being impacted by the investigation, business closures at the landing. When we finish mapping that out, we'll release a map of what's closed. It'll be a small footprint around the landing. It will not be all of downtown. If you work near the landing, you might want to pay attention to that. If you work in other parts of downtown, you'll be fine. You won't be impacted. But again, we'll get more detailed information about that out later tonight. So with that, we'll be able to answer a few questions.
Sheriff, was he a gamer in the competition?
He was here for the competition.
Did he know the victims?
I do not know the answer to that question.
Can you share with us any details of the motive?
Not at this point.
Sheriff, what can you tell us about the victims who lost their lives? Were they gamers? Do you have any details? Have you been in contact with their family members?
So we're still working, Vic, on all of that. So even potentially at this point, confirmation of victim ID has not yet been done for the victims.
Sheriff, we saw a robotic device go in that searches for bombs. Is that still, are they still searching areas right now?
No, not at this point. So we have, not realizing the catalyst for the event, obviously we took all precautions, and that was one of them. So.
Sheriff, how many people were inside when this shooting happened?
So I don't have that number, but there was a large number of people inside the restaurant. It wasn't full, but there were enough people in there.
What was the fire marshal's capacity for that establishment?
So the fire marshal capacity is 238, I think I've heard. They're nowhere near that, not even close.
Clarify the number of fatalities versus the number of injuries, please.
So the number of fatalities is 3 to include the suspect. And then you have an additional 9 who were injured from gunshot wounds and 2 that were injured, again, fleeing the restaurants.
Sheriff, what happened with security? How much security was there?
So that's, well, I don't know. We have to look at that down the road.
Sheriff,
We haven't looked at that yet.
victims were local or not?
So again, until we can confirm the identity of the victims, I can't answer that question, but that's something that we're working on. And once we do that, keep in mind, then we're going to have to reach out and if they are from out of town, it's going to take some time to locate those families.
Is there another suspect?
So our
in
family
custody?
unification process, our family assistance process, is very narrow at this point. So we
Is there
kind of know
another
what we're working
suspect
on.
in custody?
There is not another suspect in custody. There's only one suspect.
Sheriff, we heard that Jacksonville Fire Rescue was nearby doing some training, was able to get quickly to the scene. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, they were. They were close by doing some elevator work, I believe. They've been in this building, and were able to respond quickly. And again, hats off to them for their tremendous response and the courage they show day in and day out, but in particular today.
Do you have other video other than what we've been seeing and circulating in the media where you kind of see the game being played and in the corner, two people playing the game? Is there other video that you have access to?
So we won't talk about the other parts or pieces of evidence we have at this point in the investigation.
Sheriff, can you kind of describe
Witnesses still
where
being
you were?
questioned over at the Performing Arts Center.
So we may be wrapping that up, and we're very close to closing down witness and interviews and that type of thing. So
Sure.
there may be a few left.
Sheriff, will security measures increase after this?
So that's a question that we will obviously delve into in the coming days and weeks, but that's something that we'll be looking
Were
at.
there cameras inside this restaurant where the shooting unfolded?
There were cameras inside.
Sheriff, he
Was
shot
this a
himself.
disgruntled gamer upset that he lost? That's what a lot of people are telling us.
So again, we won't confirm any of the motive at this point. It's still under investigation. So before we talk about that, we want to be sure.
Can you confirm that the FBI and ATF in Baltimore are searching his home right now?
So we are having, there is some cooperation going on in Baltimore with ATF and FBI.
And he shot himself, Sheriff, inside that facility, inside that venue.
He did.
One more question.
Sheriff, was the gun legal? You have legal possession of the firearm?
So that's all part of the ongoing investigation that we're working in conjunction with our partners.
Just one firearm, as far as you know at this point.
One firearm was used in the event.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.